great day at the Academy of Scholars. Welcome to another episode of Scholarly Speaking Live with Dr. Stacy Lambert-Johnson, the Director of Student Success at the Academy of Scholars. I am Benny Crane Jr., the Assistant Director of Student Success. Today's topic will discuss teaching children empathy.
Thank you for joining us for today's live session. No matter where you're joining us from, whether you're at work or at home, we pray that you're having a great AOS day and hope that you can visit us here on campus someday soon. Last week, we talked about setting healthy boundaries for your child. Thank you to all of the viewers who watched. This week, we're talking about teaching your child empathy. But before we get started, Benny, where can our viewers watch today's live session once it's over?
Everything from this show ends up on our website, academyofscholars.com, including both the audio and video versions. Now, if you prefer watching us, you can find the video version on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Now, if you like listening to podcasts on your drive to work like I do, you can download the audio version anywhere you download your favorite podcast. Now, we want to take this opportunity to say hello to all the people who are joining us live today. Also, shout out to the people who follow us on our social media platforms. We appreciate you joining us. Now, do us a favor. Tell your friends we're on. All you have to do is hit that share button right there and comment. Tell us about your children's empathy. Do you have empathetic kids? Do you catch them showing empathy to others? Are you a good example for your kids for showing empathy? Tell us. We want to know.
Now, Benny, one of the reasons I love working at AOS is because of the nurturing, caring environment that all our teachers and staff provide for our scholars.
Yes.
Now, of course, this is an expectation because it's who we say we are in our mission statement and what we promise to our parents that we will provide, right? A safe, supportive, nurturing, interactive environment.
Yes.
Well, one of the most amazing things about being at AOS is watching how our scholars interact with each other. Because our teachers and staff model nurturing and care towards them, our scholars also show nurturing and care to their peers.
Yes.
A few days ago, during drop-off, I was walking a student to their kindergarten classroom because I wanted to let the teacher know that he was upset because he realized that he didn't have his project that was due that day. Oh, no. He saw all these other children walking in with their projects and he just started crying. So I was asking the teacher to reach out to his mom, and one of his classmates walked over to him and asked him, was he okay? And it sounds like such a small thing, but she was really, really genuinely concerned for her classmate. And it just warmed my heart to see that.
That's great.
There was another situation where a pre-K scholar was crying because she was missing her mommy, and another pre-K scholar walked over to her and handed her a stuffed animal. The teacher explained that the scholars can take it upon themselves to get the comfort beer if they were feeling sad or if a friend was feeling sad. Wow. Now, those acts of concern and show of empathy is more of the norm of what I normally see here at AOS with our scholars. So we're definitely truly blessed.
We are.
I've been in other environments where children weren't so kind and caring with their peers. So what happens when you encounter a child who's not so kind? That's what we're discussing today, how to teach your child empathy.
Now, you may be wondering what showing empathy or not showing empathy looks like and whether your child is empathetic or not. And then you can usually see this playing out when your kid's in a position to share. Empathy is not necessarily intuitive or something we're born with. So when another child doesn't have toys to play with and your son or daughter is like, too bad, so sad, it's usually because they're not showing empathy and not connecting to what it feels like to be without toys at that moment. Mm-hmm. Children who are empathetic are more likely to share in situations like this.
That's right. So what is empathy? Empathy is not an innate trait, like Benny said, or a talent that some people have and others don't. Empathy is the ability to understand how someone else is feeling in a particular situation and respond with care and compassion. It's composed of three complex processes: feeling someone else's emotions, being able to take someone else's perspective or walking in someone else's shoes, and feeling sympathy or concern for someone who is vulnerable or feeling distressed. All of these processes are shaped by learning. There are steps that parents can take to teach children to be empathetic, but developing empathy takes time. There are some teenagers and adults who are still learning how to be empathetic.
Yes, yes. And even though you may hear some people use them interchangeably, empathy is different from sympathy. Sympathy is when you share feelings with someone else. It allows you to feel sorry for them, like when a friend is grieving a loss of a loved one. You might send them flowers or a sympathy card. It lets them know you are feeling sad alongside them, even though you may not necessarily know how they feel. Whereas empathy is when you understand how someone is feeling because you've been in their shoes before, and you're able to connect with them in a much more meaningful way.
Now, why is empathy important? Empathy is important for a few reasons. One, because it's a skill that's needed in order for someone to be a good friend, a good parent, a good colleague, a good husband, a good wife, and just an overall good person.
Yes.
Two, having empathy for others allows us to be in tune with our own emotions and helps to build our emotional intelligence and mental health. Three, being able to understand someone else's perspective and feelings helps us to be able to work with others in social settings, such as at school, doing group or partner work, or with younger children, sharing at circle time, and builds academic skills such as inferencing for reading comprehension and understanding the perspective of others in history. Four, with the increase of social media and technology use, developing empathy in children can serve as a deterrent in cyberbullying. And fifth, teaching empathy is crucial in preventing bullying, intolerance, racial hatred, and bigotry.
The common theme of those 5 reasons Stacy just outlined is that empathy is important because it can really help us understand how others are feeling, and it allows us to respond appropriately.
That's right. So how can parents teach empathy? First, parents can start very early with their toddlers in teaching empathy. Teach them to express themselves and tell how they're feeling, helping to build their emotional vocabulary. Children cannot learn empathy if they first do not know how to identify their own emotions and feelings. So talking using words with your child to help them express how they are feeling is recommended. One of the things I like to do with our pre-K scholars when they're crying is to ask them to tell me why they're crying. Are you mad? Are you sad? Are you frustrated? Tell me why you're crying.
Yes, children being able to label and articulate their own emotion is instrumental in them being able to identify the emotions of others. And I'll expound on this a little bit more later.
Second, do kind acts for others with your child and ask your child how they think the other person feels. Ask them how they would feel if someone did something nice for them, and encourage your child to do kind acts for others. It doesn't have to be anything big. Helping a friend clean their area after playtime, pushing the neighbor's trash can back from the curb after trash pickup day, writing a kind note to a friend, anything that would make someone happy.
Yes, performing random acts of kindness alongside your child can be an incredible way to engage your child in empathetic acts. So I want to reiterate Stacy's point here. Showing empathy does not require grandiose gestures. So you don't have to wait for a holiday so your family can serve food to the hungry. It can be as simple as holding a door for a stranger.
That's right. Now, third, it's usually difficult for younger children to read people's faces and body language. Parents should actively teach children to read people's faces and guess their emotions by play acting and role playing, even using props with them. I play a game with my grandson where I'll make a face and I'll ask him to tell me if I'm happy, sad, mad, or tired. And then I ask him to make faces and I try to guess how he feels. Helping children to read others' emotions will give them insight and help them connect to the different feelings that people have.
Oh, that sounds so fun.
It is.
And another great game to do is Empathy I Spy. To do so, sit with your child in a spot where you can kind of people watch, like at the park at a bench overlooking the playground. Sit with your child and take turns asking what certain people may feel and what you could do to help them. For example, you could say something like, "That little boy seems determined to get all the way across the monkey bars by himself. I can tell because he keeps trying and he keeps telling his dad not to help. Now, if I was his dad, I would cheer him on to help him accomplish his goal." Now, by making a game out of recognizing emotions and how you could respond, you may be able to encourage your kids to engage and get excited about empathy.
Fourth, use books and stories to teach children empathy. Talk to them about how the character feels. This moves them beyond their own experiences and helps them to think of others. 2- and 3-year-olds they're in a me and I and mine stage. 4-year-olds can sometimes be stuck there as well.
Yes.
Getting them to think about others and how others feel is crucial in developing empathy.
Now, there are some great books out there that can help you with this. Some kid books for building empathy are The Sneetches and Other Stories by Dr. Seuss. One of my kids' favorite books were The Giraffes Can't Dance by Guy Parker Reese. Also, The Wolf's Colorful Coat by Avril McDonald. Voices in the Park by Anthony Brown. The Boy at the Back of the Class by Ojali Roth. You Matter by Christian Robinson, and Dave the Lonely Monster by Anna Kemp and Sarah Ogilvie.
5th, make sure you're modeling empathy for your child. Establishing a strong, secure, loving relationship with your child is one of the first milestones in empathy building. Feeling accepted and understood by you helps your child learn how to accept and understand others as they grow. Children will look to parents for their cues on how to react to a person or a situation. This is called social referencing and begins as early as 6 months. Wow. So it's important that parents model empathy. One of the funniest Super Bowl commercials I've seen is the one in 2021 where the kids are in a car, a Toyota Highlander, that's the commercial, and they're pulling up to their grandparents' house, and the father says, "Okay, so what are we not going to mention to grandma?" And the kids start rattling off all the things that they've heard and observed the parents say. That grandpa really loves redheads? That mom doesn't really have a headache every Sunday? That you have trust issues? And the dad slowly backs out of the driveway to leave. I laugh so hard every time I see this commercial because it just reminds me that children truly do take their cues from us adults. And they're painfully honest, yes, which doesn't always go together when we're trying to develop empathy.
Now, this suggestion really connects well with your first suggestion, Stacy, about talking with children about emotions, because sometimes you know even before your child does, especially your younger ones, about the emotions they're feeling. And not only can you help them put a name to their emotions, but you can also show empathy for them at the same time. Acknowledge your child's feelings by saying something like, "That sounds like it was really hurtful to be left out of recess today." Channel your own emotions and put yourself in your child's shoes.
6th, look for daily examples of empathy and have discussions with your child at the dinner table about it. Ask them daily what they did today that was kind. Discuss what they did and how they think it made the other person feel. When watching TV shows with your child, point out when someone is kind and talk about how it made the other person feel. Do the same if someone does something not so kind.
Modeling empathy in everyday life and situations can really make the difference. Even modeling empathy towards characters in books and movies and television can work. You can share empathetic statements that show you're taking the perspective of others, like, "Simba seems very sad that he lost his father."
One of my favorite movies, The Lion King.
I love The Lion King.
I love it.
Yes.
Finally, 7, if your child has been unkind, talk to your child about their behavior. Help them to see why being unkind is unacceptable by asking them how they think the other person felt, or asking them how they would feel if someone were to do the same thing to them. We are our children's first teachers, so it's up to us to insist on being a role model for empathy, teaching our children the golden rule to treat others the way they want to be treated. Well, what do you think? Is your child empathetic? What are some ways they've shown empathy? How do you explicitly teach your child empathy? Did you learn something new from today's episode? Comment and let us know your thoughts on today's topic.
If you're looking for more information to help with teaching your child empathy, go to our website at academyofscholars.com/scholarly speaking resources. In the meantime, we suggest you check out Empathy, Why It Matters and How to Get It by Roman Krishnarik. Krishnarik's book can help you in developing your own empathy by challenging you to look outward and attempt to identify with the experiences of others. The empathy book shares with readers 6 life-enhancing habits of highly empathetic people, skills you can share with your children that will enable them to connect with others in extraordinary ways, making themselves and the world more truly fulfilled. And remember, no matter where you live in the world, you can give your child access to an exceptional Christian affordable education with the Academy of Scholars Premier Online Learning. Not only does the Academy of Scholars give your child the opportunity to engage in school at their own pace, but we also provide a comprehensive curriculum with classes like coding and computer science that will have your child excited about school each day. The Academy of Scholars Premier Online Learning is the online school you've been looking for.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's live session. To learn more about our amazing school, the Academy of Scholars, please go to our website at academyofscholars.com. Join us next time as we continue our live discussions. Next week, we'll be talking about helping children resolve conflict.
Oh, wow.
Big one.
Big one.
Until next time, I am Dr. Stacy Lambert-Johnson.
And I'm Benny Crane Jr.
Saying goodbye and be blessed.